Hey, at least I don't have to say wormhole anymore.
We'll talk about
Wormhole
this
yourself.
strategy to wormhole. I don't know. I feel like that's something. On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we determined that all good time travelers know to employ the Biff strategy.
And have a serious debate on whether or not Kronos is a serial killer. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz. I'm not doing that weird voice that Diana is doing. No.
This week we're going to talk about season 7, episode 12, Time After Time.
Sometimes, do you picture me? I am never walking too far ahead of Diana because my legs are like half the size of hers. So I could never physically walk ahead of her.
Pretty much, yeah. So how are you this week, Liz?
I don't even know. It's October.
It is October.
So that's happened. I don't know how.
You're stocked up on skeletons.
I bought an obscene amount of skeletons today is it At Home?
Yeah.
And that store is dangerous. Holy shit. That store
so
needs a lot more things to be on sale.
Yeah.
It was a little pricier if I wanted it to be, but I got some.
They have all the things.
Yeah. I stopped thankfully I had to go back to work, right? Because I was just like, I stopped because I knew after I took, I have been the vet shuttle for my mom's cats. So after I took another cat to the vet, it's just been, and we had another cat party this weekend where all the cats got baths and got shaved.
Yes.
And I've been trying to find ways to talk about that my mom's cat was getting shaved without being where that goes. And I'm just like, damn it.
Without saying my mom's cat's getting shaved. That's what you're trying to not say, but say.
Yeah. So, but groomed also, but still is weird. And so, but Portia got the full Monty, and so she has a little frame around her face and a little poof on her tail and her little feet and her big ass belly just swinging around, and her fupa is just hanging underneath her big ass belly. But I think she feels she seems a lot more comfortable with that. I forgot where I was going with this. The skeletons.
It was starting about skeletons, but now we're talking about
but I mean, At Home, that I was kind of impressed. I was just like, no, you do not need to buy all. I bought okay, you definitely need a trash can for your office, but that's it. You can buy this trash can and then the hundreds of dollars of skeletons and this trash can. That is the only practical thing you can buy.
They have some decent outdoor stuff, I think, because I think I didn't buy much, but I did I think I got an outdoor rug there. Did I? I don't know. I looked at stuff there before.
Well, it's just especially as I'm in that mid-house stage where it's just but I'm also just trying very hard not to spend money or at least on things I don't actually need. I mean, the skeletons clearly needed.
That's a need, obviously.
Clearly needed. Because they have the flamingos there, and they were the only place. And so right now they're all in my car, and I'm about to go on a trip, and I'm like, do I just leave them in the car and then just have feeling if somebody breaks into my car and steals the skeletons, well, fuck off. So what about you?
I had a pretty eventful weekend, actually. I mean, I went and saw Off With Their Heads, who were fantastic as usual at Three Links in Deep Ellum, and then I spent some time getting tattooed on Saturday. That was Friday night. Was that Saturday night? Was tattoo day, and then Sunday was State Fair of Texas. It was opening weekend, so I went and got my Fletcher's corny dog, like you have to, and get my picture with Big Tex. I had a good little time running around. And saw our friends from Island Getaway Rum. They've got us set up all season at the fair, and
that's cool.
They've got samples. They have samples. So I did that. That's a really cute setup, like a little tiki vibe. So yeah, good little weekend. Busy.
Yeah, I forgot
I'm holding down the
I forgot I
holding down
worked
the
all
fort.
weekend. I was like, why didn't I feel like it? What did I do? Oh yeah, you just worked. You didn't have a weekend.
Yeah, I feel like I'm holding down the fort while Babe's on an adventure.
You're being a bachelorette.
Yeah, I feel like I had, what is that? It was like, what's the trend now? Is like girl dinner or whatever. It's like, it's this thing where like when chicks make stupid shit for dinner because they're by themselves. It's like the shit that we would do. So like tonight I was like, I'm making myself a fucking baked brie for dinner. And guess what I made for dinner? A fucking baked brie. I felt a little guilty, so I made a little pesto pasta on the side. Because I was like, I need something other than like bread and baked brie in my face.
But do you?
Well, not much, just a little bit.
No. So good.
Mostly I really wanted leftovers for other stuff to eat this week, so I don't have to cook every night. That was why I'm like, I'm gonna make some pesto pasta because then that's good for a few days.
Yeah, that is true. Oh, you're gonna make me hungry. Okay.
Sorry.
So
all right.
So yeah, so this week is gonna be, I don't know. So we're October, it's spooky season, hooray. And yeah. All right. So one thing just in kind of the land of things I just noticed that I don't know why I did not notice this before, but Ruth Connell from the show, who you've not met yet, but who you know who she is, and she's amazing.
I'm aware.
She's a Nandor in the Talking Mongoose, which is the new Simon Pegg movie, which about Jeff the Talking Mongoose, the paranormal event that was like so, you know. We've talked about. I think I did a whole thing about Jeff.
No, yeah, we did that. We've done lore about that.
Yeah. So
sure. I didn't know there was a movie now.
Yeah, so there's a movie and it's available on streaming. So I have something to watch on the plane tomorrow. I just have to figure out like if I can find it for free or if like maybe it'll be streaming on the plane. So, and then I can even like, yeah. So I'm very excited about that, and so and the fact that she's in it like just makes me happy. So this episode, Time After Time, was season 7, episode 12, and first aired January 13th, 2012, and was directed by Phil Scuccia and written by Robbie Thompson, who we last saw write / fiction, and that was the first time that he had done anything for the supernatural, but will not be the last time that we see him. So we start off with a hat and a trench coat man. Hat man.
Yeah, fedora dude. I think I just call this person Fedora through my notes, by the way.
I call him Hat Man.
Hat Man. That might have been easier to write. I don't know. I like writing F's, though. So, Fedora. Walking away from a house, down an alley. Sam and Dean have been, like, obviously staking this guy out. And they're like, we're going in. And Sam's like, what's the plan? And Dean's like, don't die.
Rawr.
Spoiler, they succeed in the plan, not part of the plan. But anyways, and I'm also really irritated. Like there's like all these like food wrappers on the dash of the car. It's just really junky looking.
It just looks really smelly. And I think I comment on this later. Like the car shows, they all look gross right now. But my car is finally clean because I had to take my aunt somewhere last week. So I cleaned out my car. And then like I finally washed it yesterday.
And then you filled it with skeletons.
And then right now it's still filled with skeletons. So anyway, they split it through the alleys, and there's a guy, and there's a red light, and it's being sucked out of someone. Someone's getting red sucked off or sucked. I don't know.
They get a red light sucked out of them into the fedora man.
Hat man. And then Dean's like, and then he runs and he tackles the hat man, and then poof.
Yeah, and Dean gets sucked into the red bright light with the fedora man.
So much.
It's a very confusing intro. I'm just saying. It was very hard to describe. There's a lot of sucking.
And then like Sam's just like, Dean! And it's just like this very long guttural Dean. I'm like, what is happening? But we were like, okay, I guess this is how we start. We're going to go back in time already. Oh. 2 days earlier.
Already. Spoiler. No, I'm just kidding. 2 days earlier.
Well, it's called Time After Time, so.
I know, so obviously.
We're going to a time that's 2 days earlier.
Yeah. And Dean is obsessive. We'll figure out that Dean's been obsessively researching Dick Roman.
Just Dean.
Dick all the time.
Just Dick all the time. He's just
Googling Dick. Just Googling Dick.
But he's just doom scrolling. And Sam's phone rings.
And it wakes him up. And it's Jody Mills. Yay.
Yay, Jody.
And she's like, hot tip. There's a body in Canton, Ohio that pretty much looks mummified, and everybody's trying to cover it up. And it's not the first one. So y'all need to get the fuck out there because it sounds like your jam. And then she also kind of like, we get a good implication here because I was like, oh, fuck, does Jody know about Bobby? Was one of my first thoughts, like, right when we figure out that's her calling. And she does because she chokes up and talks about how, like, the stuff she's been through with Sam and Dean and Bobby.
So. Yeah, so I mean, she's touched by his death, and I appreciate that. I like it.
Yeah,
because they almost made out that one time.
They did almost make out that time. So, anyways, they get off the phone, and Sam's like, "I thought they almost made out."
Well, we don't know. Like, did they? They could have.
Well, maybe. I hope they did. But so they get off the phone, and Sam is giving Dean shit about obsessing over doom scrolling dick, basically. Doom scrolling dick. Ooh. Anyways, Sam hopes that he's watching cartoon smut, is what he calls it. And Dean closes the laptop and says, it's called anime, and it's an art form. So we go to Canton, Ohio, because they got to figure out what to
like. I just was like, am I going to Canton, Ohio tomorrow? I may actually drive through Canton, Ohio. I'm not sure. If I do, I'll snap a pic, and that'll be really great. But so they are in Canton, Ohio, and they're staying in this foreclosed house that looks hella haunted, and I want it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck house is this? Oh, they're just picking a flop house. It's up for auction. And so they move in, and it's like rock, paper, scissors for like the shitty rooms. It's just gross. Whatever.
And Sam wins because paper beats rock, and that's just something. It's within the Winchester lore. Sam always wins because paper always beats rock.
That's funny. Huh. There you go. Well, they've got a case file, and they're like, well, you know, these kids found this body playing hide and seek. Ew, that's sad.
Why do they have the whole case file? Like, did they steal it?
Where did they get it? I have
why
no
is
idea.
that picture in there? File. But also, they're in trench coats. I need a good trench coat, and I like that they added this to this. And I feel like they've taken this from Bobby. I don't know. And I feel like they had coats before, but now they do. I like it.
Well, either way, the whole thing we've got is that they're like, all right, well, there's an unreliable witness as identified by police, so they're going to go visit with this guy. And they introduce themselves as Agents Smith, not related. And the guy looks super freaked and wants to talk outside because his mom's sleeping. And it's like a grown man wrapped up in grown young-ish man wrapped in a blanket. And we realize when he starts explaining what happened, because they insist that he tell the real story. We realize, oh no, the cops are calling him an unreliable witness because, well, his stories, you know, if you're not into this shit, story sounds far-fetched, but also he's fucking high.
He was medicating,
self-medicating on the patio. And so he saw the whole thing, and he can't remember what a fedora is called, so he calls it the Justin Timberlake hat.
For 2012, that was accurate.
That is accurate. It's just funny. Now it's extra funny. And then he talks about the red light. Okay, so now we've got this, we got this red light. This is the first time Sam and Dean have heard about the red light. We've, as viewers, have already seen it once. So there we go. And the guy aged before his eyes. So they go back and research and drink beer like they do, and they're in their flop house. They learn that Canton's a hot spot for weird dead bodies. Huh. Fun. With a history going back to the 1920s of bodies that have been identified as either burned, leathery, decayed, dehydrated, basically like some kind of like shriveled up bodies have been found off and on for decades. Yeah, desiccated. And there's a story about how a woman named Terry Cervantes found a corpse near a church, and it made the front news of the newspaper. And I can't find any pattern to these deaths other than the fact that they seem to drop in threes every couple decades. So there we go. Dean wants to do more research, and Sam has a hot take again because he's really into giving Dean a hard time. And says, more anime or strictly into dick now.
Also, Jared's hair is so long.
It's very long in this episode. So And Dean thinks he's all slick. And he's like, let me just Google Canton webcams.
He's learned to hack cameras. That's
but
adorable.
like, if he's not actually, but like the way they show him doing it is not how it works. Google like webcam, enter.
Yes, that is not. No, that is exactly how you hack a web camera.
Okay. So, and anyways, but he's able to pull up a bunch of views around the city, and Sam's super impressed because Dean learned it from watching Frank.
Oh, and somehow also like they've got all the back footage from these places, but that's cool. And they can go back in time and like look at all of them. They found Hatman. Hooray!
They find Timberlake, Fedora, Hatman, whatever you want to call him. They find him. And they're like, wait a minute, that same guy is in because the camera quality is so fucking good. They can zoom in to see his facial features also and realize that he's actually also in that cover story in that news article from decades ago.
Totally makes sense. Yep.
So they're going to go talk to Terry, who was the little girl that found this dead body.
And Terry grew up to be a doctor, and I'm very proud of Terry. Go for you! Like I know this was not hard. You in what you came of age in, Terry. So good for you.
So she's like, "Hey, I don't know whatever happened to that body. I still to this day don't know. But by the way, that dude in the fedora, that's Mr. Snyder. He lived on my parents' street." Okay, then. So that's where we get back to our intro scene with the stakeout.
Yeah, and this is where I commented because this is as like Sam and Dean are having a smelly stakeout, and that's just looking at this car. I'm just like, ew.
It smells like mustard and onions. I bet.
And
I like those things on a burger, but I don't want to sit in a car.
Oh yeah, or like the day after, like you go to In-N-Out or something. But I did.
You leave French fries in your car. Yeah.
No, I did at like I forgot where I got it. But I got this like little like jelly bat. And it's like an Austin bat or something, but it smells like I don't know, like one of like a mini tree or something. But no, my car smells really good, and I have a bat.
That's nice. I think it's a combo.
Which goes right into this next thing where they're just kind of like, so what is this? Like, is he a dude? Like, but is he a vamp? Like, what's going on? And Sam's like, no, but the bodies have blood. It was just like really old blood. So then I asked like, does blood stay in a mummy? And because it wouldn't, right? And so like blood breaks down. I checked, like, of course I did.
Yeah.
But those guys wouldn't have blood left in them. They would have been like broken down into something else.
Well, and the whole thing about them being like desiccated and like they thought they were dehydrated or decaying or leathery, like that's like a lack of moisture. So the blood like would have to be dry. I don't know.
It's dust. It's not blood anymore. That just isn't like that. Yeah. Like that doesn't. Anyways.
It makes no sense.
But they see Hatman, fedora dude.
Yeah, and so we get the whole little intro scene again.
Yeah. Okay, so we get, all right.
And then, but we cut back, and this time we see Dean finish the tackle. He doesn't just he gets sucked into the light. There's a bright light, and then he finishes the tackle, and then they're still in the alley, but it looks a little bit different. And he sees that Fedora Man has like this ring that looks kind of like an infinity symbol / a hourglass kind of thing on it, and that guy runs away. So Dean pulls a gun and chases him down the alley, and there's jazz playing suddenly, and now he's in the middle of the street, and it's the 40s.
Or at least like what we were assuming. We're getting some hints around that, right? And like
I'm teasing. Like all of a sudden we got old vehicles. The street scene is very different. There's families. They're dressed in 1940s attire, and they are distraught that Dean, dressed like a weirdo, just ran out in the street with a gun.
And now
so he gets arrested.
We got a kappa. And the kappas are taking him down to the police station, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And I immediately wrote, "Damn it, is this a time travel episode?" and texted Liz.
Yeah. And so Dean's just like handcuffed.
I'm just, he's handcuffed. I'm just very amused. This cop is like going through his stuff, and it's kind of funny how he's like fucking with his pocket knife. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like, the technology, even like on a pocket knife, is completely different. Like, it looks completely different.
Yeah. And, Dean's just like, I'm a Fed. And he's like, no, you're not. You're a kraut muncher.
And Dean's like, I don't even like sauerkraut. But his FBI badge, they point out, was issued 68 years from right now. So.
And that is where Dean does the math, and we realize that it's 1944.
Yeah. Yeah. And they think he's a spy for Germany.
And they do. And so Diana was correct. It's a time travel episode. Right. So we all know what we say here. Time travel is stupid. But
so we're gonna do.
But we're not. So I'm gonna quiz Diana about time travel and science.
Fuck. Oh no.
Okay, right. So your first question. You ready? In the classic movie Back to the Future, the DeLorean time machine famously misfires in its journey through time. But where does the movie go wrong in terms of theoretical physics? Is it 1? It forgot that Marty needed a cosmic GPS to navigate through time. 2. It excludes the concept of space-time with the necessary temporal coordinates. 3. The flux capacitor isn't powerful enough to bend reality. Or 4. Ignore the quantum entanglement of Marty's shoelaces.
One.
No, I feel like number 1 kind of could be true because it's 2, because it excludes the concept of space-time and the necessary temporal coordinates, which is kind of like a fat. So space-time basically means that time and space are time and location are inseparable. Yeah. So you can't. If Marty put I'm gonna go to this time in the DeLorean, he wouldn't be traveling to that place on Earth. He would be sucked into some weird vortex and
be at the same location.
He'd be in a vacuum in space, right? So right. You just can't alter one without influencing the other. So basically, they just won't work. Okay, so that's your first question. Just some simple theoretical physics, right? Sure. This is fine. All right, question number 2. In the epic sci-fi movie, I don't know if it's epic. That's what ChatGPT called it. In the epic sci-fi movie Interstellar, the team of astronauts traverse through a wormhole to reach another galaxy. But what's the big oopsie the movie makes when it comes to the theory of wormholes, if they exist in space-time travel is possible through black holes? Is it 1? It suggests wormholes could lead you to a random Chuck E. Cheese in 1987. 2. It forgets to mention wormholes are probably one-way trips. 3. It implies wormholes pop up conveniently near Saturn. Or 4, it neglects the concept that wormholes likely lead to another defined point in space-time.
4.
It is number 4. So, basically, if wormholes are real, you can go from, A to B. You just go A to B. You can't.
It doesn't
you
go
can't go A to wherever the fuck I want to go to. You can only go to the other end. And if you have the video right, I would see I'm basically making weird things with my fist. Okay. So
you're just fist bumping yourself.
I'm fist bumping myself. I'm wormholing myself. Right. So
you don't. I don't want to Google that. Go ahead.
All right. So your question number 4. All right. In the Star Trek universe, the recurring concept of, I meant to look up how to say this word, tachyons, I'm assuming tach like tachometer, TACHYONS, is often associated with time travel events. In the Star Trek universe, that recurring concept, okay. So what is that? Is it A, a particle that travels faster than the speed of light? B, a subatomic particle used to power Starship warp drives? C, a type of energy field generated by Starship engines? Or D, a form of exotic matter used to stabilize wormholes?
I think it's 2, but I'm also not sure.
It is A, a particle that travels faster than the speed of light.
Damn it. That was my second one. Okay.
All right. So number 5 in the movie The Butterfly Effect, the concept of the butterfly effect plays a central role. What is the butterfly effect? Is it that a visual effect uses some? Is it a visual effect used to symbolize time travel in the film? B, a metaphor for the transformation of the main character into a butterfly? C, a scientific phenomenon where the flapping of a butterfly's wings could cause a tornado? Or D, a recurring motif of butterflies appearing throughout the movie?
C.
It is C. You are correct. Butterfly effect is a scientific phenomenon where the flapping of a butterfly's wing can cause a tornado. So, question number 6. Are there any actual butterflies in the butterfly effect?
I'd have to have seen the movie in this. I don't know.
So, what do you think?
I'm going to go with no.
Yes, of course there are. It's called the butterfly effect. Like, what the fuck? You think they wouldn't want any butterflies in the movie called the
I
butterfly
could see that.
effect?
Yeah.
Side question. Can a butterfly's wings flapping cause a tornado?
I mean,
No,
I guess
no,
that's
that's total bullshit. No, that cannot happen. Okay, so
well, it's like the domino effect. It doesn't mean like the literal
it's causal.
Like A
it's
to B. It's not directly causal. Yeah.
But that can't happen. Okay, so number 7 in the 2000, I guess it would be the butterfly effect of Ashton Kutcher in interviews. So at number 7 in the 2002 film adaptation of The Time Machine, which concept related to time travel is central to the storyline? Is it A, the concept of time dilation due to near light speed travel? B, the idea that small changes in the past can drastically alter the present and future? C, the exploration of parallel universes and alternate timelines? Or D, the use of wormholes as a means of instantaneous time travel?
What movie?
The Time Machine.
So I'm gonna go with B.
No, it's still wormholes.
Damn.
So they're still wrong.
Second option.
They're still wrong. Yeah. Damn. Yep. So then, number 8, the director of the 2002 film adaptation of The Time Machine this is a true or false question, sorry. Was that director H.G. Wells' great grandson?
True.
Yeah, he was. His name is Simon Wells, but also more importantly, he directed 5 Goes West. Yeah, see,
I that has one of the best songs ever in it.
All right, number 9.
What was I? I was at some show and somebody covered that song and I cried. God damn it. Who did that? It was amazing. I don't remember.
All right, number 9. In the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which concept related to time travel is exemplified through the film's premise? Is it A, the concept of time loops where events repeat endlessly? B, the idea that time travelers can change history with minimal consequences? C, the exploration of parallel universes and alternate versions of reality? Or D, the predestination paradox where future actions lead to their own costs?
That one.
It is that. So like that means like so okay, so event A causes event B is that typical cause and effect, right? And so that's how we work literally normally. And so but with the predestination paradox, B is what causes A. But because A had to occur first to lead to B to happen, you get a loop. And just
and this is why time travel is stupid and it stresses me out.
And this is why time travel is stupid. And question number 10 was going to be about Donnie Darko, but then I didn't want to think about Donnie Darko, so now we're done with this, and time travel is stupid. I also had to do my makeup.
Cool. Yeah, it works for me.
But speaking of doing makeup, in comes somebody who tells the cop to take a powder.
And who is this? It is a new detective, and he wants to know what really happened.
New detective.
New detective. New detective, and he wants to know what really happened in the alley.
Yeah, he
so
also
Dean tells
has
him the truth.
Fedora. He is not nude. No, I wish he was nude with a fedora.
Naked with a fedora.
Okay, go on.
Well, either way, so he wants to know all about this, and Dean's like, oh shit, you're a fucking hunter because you believe me. And he is, and it is none other than Eliot Ness.
What? Craziness.
Who Diana had to Google. Anyways.
Okay, I can get that you have not seen The Untouchables, but you had to Google Eliot Ness.
Well, it's not like a name like I know off the top of my head. Like I Googled it and I was like, I did a Google. I was like, oh yeah, that guy. I knew as soon as I saw it. It's just not something that's like at the forefront of my brain.
Our brains are very different things than us.
Also, my brain was full of fair food yesterday when I watched the episode, so I'll take that too.
Fair food. Okay, so
I ate loaded French fry pizza. It doesn't have marinara sauce. It has ranch dressing.
It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a lot. All right. So Sam's got his murder wall going back.
Yeah, he's got a literal murder
times.
wall. Like he is just like that. There isn't even a chalkboard at this point. It's just like the entire wall of his house. He's got a murder house.
It's pretty impressive. His murder house has a murder wall. And yeah. So the phone rings and it's Jody and she wants to help. She's like, I got you into this. Let me help you. And Sam's like, oh, it's not really your fault, man. But whatever. So back in 1944, Dean tries to make Untouchables references and Eliot doesn't get them, obviously, because it's a fucking movie that came out a lot later. Anyways.
Well, he was still real and that was based on his life. But Dean really wants to be an untouchable. And Eliot Ness tells him he looks like a Bendel Stiff. And a Bendel Stiff is what they were called, like they called hobos because they carried a bendel on the stiff.
Oh. I was wondering what that was. Thanks. So they're going to go to the tailor.
I put haberdashery. I feel like it was a haberdashery they went to.
Well, it's a hat shop. I'm sure they did it all. So they went to go get a custom suit made. But they know. But they know. They have Eliot and Dean had the convo. They know this thing kills in threes. There's 2 down. They need to get another one. And there we go. So that's the mission. So this Eliot Ness is busting Dean out of jail to go help him. So they go in and meet Ezra Moore, who is fucking amazing.
I love her.
We love her. And Eliot just says, yeah, he's from the future. Like, no biggie. So we figure out that like Ezra is kind of like in on the hunter thing, but we don't really know how. And we never really know how, sadly. But either way, so Dean's like, yeah, gas costs $4. You can get cheese out of a spray can, and the president is a black guy. I could go on.
I think cheese on a spray can is a pretty important technological invention that people want to know about. Yeah, and so we start flipping kind of back and forth between like the present and the past. So sometimes when it's just like present, past, present, past. So we go back to the present, and Jody's got books and boxes. Then we go back to the past, and Dean looks really ridiculously hot.
He looks really good with his hair parted.
Like his hair parted on the side, like really good. I would really like to see Jensen Ackles do some like late 1920s, 1930s roles, so I can see him in that look all the time because it was good.
It was nice. It was working for him. Mm-hmm. It was working for him. But this is funny. This is the second time he says. I think it's the second time he says "awesome." And like, you know, we say, oh, it's fucking awesome. Oh, awesome. And they give him shit. Like earlier, Eliot's like, what about this makes you full of awe? And then he says it again. And like, they say that he sounds like a religious kook. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So every time that I say awesome repetitively, because they say that is my word of the year, apparently. Awesome. I blame Becky. So Ezra calls them idiots, and it's adorable. She is the new old Bobby.
She is. That's basically like what the implication is. She's kind of like the pre-Bobby.
Yes, I do old.
Yeah. So Jody's trying to help Sam research all these boxes that she brought over, and basically these boxes are from Bobby's storage. Is what we've find out, and they actually find a while they're looking online, they find a picture of Snyder and they see the ring and they're like, wait, what is this? Let's go find it in a book. So now they're looking for the hourglass / infinity symbol looking ring. And in the meantime, Dean and Ezra are discussing about it because they're still in the tailor, and she's like, yeah, it's the infinite hourglass. It's the mark of Kronos, the god of time.
Ooh. And we almost had lore on this. Like, Cronus isn't really like a god. He's kind of just like this concept. Like, he's this thing that like he represents time. It's this weird yeah, he becomes associated with Father Time, and it's really just kind of like philosophical crap, right? But anyways, but in here he really does get personified as like a god.
And that's actually how it's done in a book series that I really like that I've referenced before, but it's a Piers Anthony series.
Yeah.
There's a book. There's one of the books that's about time. Anyways, so, but basically what Ezra busts out with is he's killing folks for time juice.
Get their time juice, sipping on that time juice like it's Grey Goose.
So she's like, well, y'all might, like, how else is he getting back to 2012? The only way is really to go through Kronos. So you gotta let him grab you.
You're gonna summon a god.
Mm-hmm. So that's Jody and Sam are trying to summon a god. Elliot and Dean think they're gonna kill a god.
Yeah.
And Ezra's like, sure, I'll scrounge something up that you can kill a god with. No big. Y'all,
just kill a god.
In the meantime, go figure out if his house has been built yet. You can go research that. So, yeah, Dean doesn't do well. Like, for someone that really likes like these old movies, like it's like the Wild West one where he like, he just doesn't adapt greatly.
It doesn't adapt, it's a hard time sometimes, imitating Sean Connery or, just, blending. Blending is his issue because, sometimes he seems a little dumb. But anyways, they get to the house from before and Elliot kicks the door in, which is just kind of like, yeah, this is like why people hate the cops, Elliot. Like, you started this. So anyways, Dean finds a ledger and we realize that Kronos is using the Biff strategy.
The Biff strategy, which is amazing. I'm so glad they used that line to describe it. Made me happy. But, which, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, I can't even say it. Never mind. I can't say it. If you don't know, too bad. Look it up. Even I know that one.
I wonder if that has.
I've never seen any.
I wonder if that has its own wiki page. Anyway, so basically, there is a ledger and it's full of all the gambling stuff that Kronos, Mr. Schneider, is doing.
Yeah. So basically, the Kronos, Fedora man, whatever, same nice Mr. Schneider, is using his time travel knowledge to gamble and make a lot of money. And they're like, well, shit, let's go find his bookie. And so they find Lester Young because it's coded in the book. And they're like, hey, we're going to good cop, bad cop it. Dean's the bad cop. Ooh. Elliot's the good cop. Ooh. And they make up a story after Dean, like, punches the shit out of Lester. He's like, I learned it from watching you. Which I can only say that way. And then, like, Elliot makes up, like, a story about how Dean's been kicking Nazi heads in for the last 2 years. If he doesn't kick a head in every so often, then he's needs to get it out.
Yeah, so basically they harass this man until he becomes a stoolie and snitches on Kronos and tells him where to find Schneider / Kronos. You can find him at the early bird because he's after it. Yeah. They don't say why.
Just taking me at the early bird. So back in modern times, Sam and Jody are like, okay, well, if we're going to summon Kronos, we need to make sure that he literally has his hands on Dean at that moment. Otherwise, Dean can't ride him back.
They keep referring to him as riding him, and they should stop.
I know, it's a lot. It's lot.
It's not a good name for this guy. You should pick another name. But Jody finds a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue that Rufus had given to Bobby, and it's very touching.
It is. It has a piece of paper rubber banded to it says, "Fine, you ass, you win for once. Enjoy, R." Also means Bobby won a bet against Rufus. And so it's only the right thing to do to drink it.
Also, you're all alcoholics.
Well, that too. But, yeah.
So now we get back to the past.
Yeah. And Dean and Elliot are staking out the diner where Snyder hangs out. And and we see Elliot bust out a flask. And Dean's like, "Wait, what? What is happening here?" And he's like, "Oh, why do you think after I went after Capone, he had the best cooch in Chicago?"
Then he proceeds to just like keep drinking this flask, and like he'll put it like in front of like Dean's face, but then like just drink it himself. Like he's just a dick, like just self-absorbed with this flask. It's just rude.
It's very awkward. But Dean's like, "Well, who died in your life that made you a hunter?" Because that's how these hunters that we've interacted with before, like, oh, something awful happened to someone they loved, and that's how they became a hunter. And Elliot's like, "What the fuck? How morbid are you? That didn't happen. I just had a situation where I ran into a bunch of vampires turning folks. I caught the bug."
Yeah, so now he has the bug.
So basically, he just, outside of his like law enforcement stuff, this is something he can do where he can punch through the red tape with a silver bullet. And hunting sets me free.
Dean's Zen so we get a little of hunting by Elliot Ness.
Yeah. And Dean's like, "Well, yeah, I started because my family did it, but I don't really know why I do it anymore." Blah. Because we know Dean's been all blah, nihilist about being a hunter. And Elliot's like, Elliot fucking just like goes hard. He's like, "Cry me a river. Are all hunters this soft in the future?"
Yeah, so basically calls Dean a pussy, and probably because he's drunk on all this whiskey, and he's just like, "Hunting gives you clarity and makes you lucky." Blah 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 blah. Oh, look, there's a broad.
But he does say, but they do say that you're making a difference. I thought that was the important part that I think is important to Dean. That Elliot does say, everybody dies eventually. You're making a difference, though. I thought that was part before he gets to it brings you clarity. I don't know, whatever. So yeah, they see this pretty blonde woman in a really nice red coat leave the diner, and they're both checking her out. And then they realize that as she walks into the alley, Snyder is following her, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's gonna kill her next." But no, he's gonna make out with her. But we find that out right before that. We get to see Elliot's trunk,
1940s trunk too. I feel like there should be like a 1940s version of trunk. I don't know what that would be.
Hey, trunk. I don't know. I don't got nothing. So, yeah, it's
I know cool. It should be like Andrew's sisters, like trunk.
Exactly. So they're like about to shoot Snyder, and then they realize that he's making out with this woman and not killing her. So they kind of like go follow them. I don't know. This gets a little unclear to me. And all of a sudden, Elliot's going to stay at the house.
That's what I think. I think they cut something here. So, but yeah, so I think they have followed them. They followed them out to the boonies. where the Broad lives, and so
Lila.
And so then he like finds a farmer, and he's like, "Hey, farmer man, who's that lady?"
Yeah.
And the farmer goes, "Why, sure, Mr. Random Police Agent FBI man. That lady is that lady."
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's it. So Elliot's going to stay and like watch the house. I don't know. And Dean's going to go meet up with Ezra to find out what her plan is to help them kill a god.
Yeah, so Elliot goes off in the field. Like he just goes
with a gun. Just goes out to the field with a gun. Yeah. No biggie.
Okay.
It's very weird. So Ezra has a 1,000-year-old olive branch
carved by Vessel virgins and dipped in the blood of you don't want to know.
Yeah. And she says like, he's like, "What do I do with it?" It's like, "You stab Kronos in the heart with it. Duh." And they both realize, though, at this point in time, well, Ezra already knew, but Dean finally realizes that if they kill Kronos, he's stuck there. And Ezra's like, it's not so bad. And then she kisses him.
Yeah, she just starts sexually harassing Dean, which probably isn't great, but whatever. You go, Ezra. So,
I mean, he looks really good. So.
Yeah, I know the part.
Kidding.
The part.
Doesn't make it okay.
It does not make it okay, but the part, man. Anyway, so
that's good. So and she says, for luck, because I'm lucky. But as Dean's leaving, he has a revelation. Back to the Future 3. Because he sees a letter on the table. So he borrows some paper. But back at the Boonies house that this woman lives in, Ezra is trying to stake it out, but is not hiding very well and gets confronted by Snyder / Kronos / whatever he is. And they kind of get into it, and Ezra Elliot loses his gun.
Oh, Elliot.
Yeah. Back in the house, though, we've got this woman. I think we've by now heard her name is Lila. She's setting a clock, which is like an interesting, just visual choice. I really like that.
Choice, yes.
And Kronos is like, hey, you just need to pack a bag. You always want to know where I'm going when I leave, so this time you're going to come with me. We're going together. Just pack up. And she's like, what? He's like, no. Everything's perfect. Let's just go. Let's just go.
You're a dick, man. He's being a dick and shady. And I wouldn't go anywhere with him either.
Yeah. So back in town, Dean pulls up to what is current in the modern time, the flop house that they're staying, that Sam is still staying in. And goes up to the door and like tells this dude who lives there like he's some kind of special agent for termites and there's an outbreak and he needs to inspect the house.
And the old man's like, okay. And he's just, the poor senile old man is just being taken advantage of. But that's okay for this one time. Just this one time.
Yeah. And he like goes upstairs, moves the bed. They go straight upstairs, moves the bed, throws a pillow on the ground, lays down the way Sam would be sleeping to figure out precisely where he would put a sign to Sam. And so, and this guy is very confused.
As you would be. But in the present, Jody has found Sam asleep on the table and sends him to bed. And I'm like, didn't you just drink a bottle of whiskey?
I mean, well, yeah. So she's like, yeah, you need to go right now. And he lays down and he sees Sam carved in one of the baseboards, which is a word I could not write down yesterday when I was watching this. I was like, what is that? The baseboard and it says Sam, which I'm honestly kind of like somebody would have filled that in, but okay. Eventually somebody would have filled that in. But he pops it off and there's a note from Dean. So he runs down to share it with Jody, and it has the things they needed. It's got the date, the plan, and it has Lila's name.
The Floozy's name. I just started calling her a Floozy. I don't know why.
Why? She was lovely.
I don't know. Lila's a Floozy. So they find her in her home, unable to work a TV remote, like will happen to all of us one day. You just become the age you are unable to functionally work a TV remote anymore. And then you will drive all of your children crazy because you can no longer understand how a remote works.
So they're like, hi, ma'am. Do you know? At first, she thinks that Michael's in trouble again, and we don't know who Michael is, but it's kind of funny. And Jody's like, no. Do you know this guy? And she it's kind of sentimental and sits. The last time she saw him was November 5th of 1944, and she says, yeah, the night the clock stopped at 11:34. Every clock in the house. Boom. That's what they needed.
Well, isn't that convenient?
Uh-huh. But she's basically like, yeah, that was Ethan, which that's who we know as, I guess, Mr. Snyder / Fedora / Hatman / Kronos. She's like, yeah, he said a whole bunch of awful things and strangled that poor man. There were 2 policemen there. And Sam's like, was this one of them? She's like, yeah, Kronos sucked the life.
She just choked the life out of that poor man. Oh, no. So Dane's going to die. So we go back to the past. And there are Kronos and Dean, and they're fighting.
Yeah, because he sneaks in, and they get in a fight. And Elliot shows up and holds Lila hostage. And this is where we start going back and forth a lot. Again.
Yeah, and Kronos is still being a dick. He's trying to explain to Lila, I'm not that bad. I am murdering for you, sweetheart. That's what every woman likes to hear.
And he's like, I'm a god. And Dean's like, no, you're a monster. I think that was interesting. But I actually, like, I don't know. I've got sympathy for these two. I got sympathy for Kronos. I feel kind of bad for him because he's saying basically it takes him three sacrifices, is what he calls them, as opposed to murders or kills. So he has to have 3 of those to be able to choose which time he's in. Otherwise, he just like floats through time. He has no control over where or when he is.
Yeah, because you can't control time.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, he's just like bouncing around. Then he meets Lila and he falls in love with her, and the only way he can stay there.
But he was going to kill her. He was already choosing where he was going to go to before Lila. Because during Dean gets to this and there he is like, she was going to be the 3rd one. That's why he murdered one of her friends and he was going to kill her. But then he was like, you're a hot piece of ass. I'm not going to kill you.
I think he fell in love with I think I read it as he was in love with her and he was trying to stay with her.
Right, but she was going to be his victim, and
I didn't do that.
Dean specifically says it.
Well, no, not like in the past, but not like now. He fell in love with her.
She was going to be his victim, and then he decided not to kill her. And then he fell in love with her.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like...
It's still dark, but he wasn't like going out like, I'm murdery. I mean,
he was murdering people before her.
I know that. I'm saying...
And he was going to murder her.
He was...
It can't be sweet. He was going to kill her. That's like a serial killer. Like if Ted Bundy and one of his like victims fell in love, and then like you were like, well, that's sweet. He just wanted to stay with her, but he's still Ted Bundy.
I say it kind of like Amy-ish, where she didn't have a choice. Like she had to kill someone to be able for her son to survive, and that's kind of the.
But he didn't have to murder before. Like he could just be floating through time. He chooses.
That sounds awful.
But he chooses to kill people to be able to go to pinpoint. Flipping through time will be fine. Think of all the stuff you get to see. It's not worth murdering people.
No, I'm not saying that's okay. I think it's a shitty situation. That's what my point was. I had sympathy for his situation, not that he chose to kill.
I don't know. In serial killers, you don't get to be in love. You're a serial killer.
That's different.
He's the serial killer.
It's not the same.
It is. It's totally the same. It's totally the same. Tonight on this week's Devil's Trap podcast, Diana and Liz debate whether or not
whether Father Time is a fucking
his Father Time is a serial killer on this week's Dateline.
I don't think he was relishing killing people. He was doing it as a function of what he thought was survival. That was my.
I think he liked it. I think he liked it. As Dean said, you just actually didn't give a fuck. Like he didn't care. He didn't view humans as anything. He was a god,
except for Lila.
It's like Zeus fucking a swan, man. Like I don't know. Fuck your day. Fuck your authority.
Either way, but Lila is not having this. She's upset, obviously, and because she understands this is upsetting.
He's a monster. He's a murderer.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a monster or a murderer. I'm saying I have sympathy for the situation because I think he felt like he didn't have a choice. That's what I was saying. So Elliot's like, this is insane, and so we've got the stupid stake and. Dean's going to go after him, but right as it's happening, Kronos starts glowing because right at that moment is exactly when Jody and Sam have started summoning him. So it's kind of good timing, I guess. They pulled it off.
Is this Jody's first spell?
I think it might be.
Aww.
That is cute. And Kronos is pissed when they get to the flop house because it works.
And while that's happening, like NASA like throws a stake at D, and he's like, "Hey, untouchable!" And so the stake goes through
the bright light
time with the red light thingy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So we've got a whiny Kronos.
Kronos is upset. Sam gets the stake and stabs him, and his veins glow, and he's like, before I die, I'm going to tell you your future, and it's covered in thick black ooze everywhere.
He always says, it's thick black ooze. It's everywhere. They are everywhere. Enjoy oblivion. And then poof, he dies. Yeah. Enjoy oblivion. I will. Thank you very much. So casting couch. Yay!
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Sure. So we've got a couple of folks. So our Elliot Ness was played by Nicholas Lee, spelled L-E-A. Yeah. Hello. He was a regular character named Ricky Caruso on the show The Commish. He played Alex Krycek and Michael in The X-Files. That was a regular ongoing character, including the movie as well. He was in a handful of episodes of CSI, handful of episodes of V, multiple episodes of Arrow, and he was in a single episode of Once Upon a Time, NCIS, and more. So he's got been in a lot of stuff, just a lot of small or single roles over time. And then Kronos, aka Ethan Snyder, was played by Jason Dohring. He was he's in single episodes of Baywatch, CSI. He was Jason in Deep Impact, Detective Will Kinney in the originals, Chase Graves as a recurring character in iZombie, and as Liz is so excited about, Logan in the Veronica Mars show and movie.
And he's like, this character actually kind of fits him for because he was such like a dick in that, but like also like sometimes he wasn't a dick. Yeah, it's just like he was also very good looking in that, and then very good looking in this, and then like within the Veronica Mars like sequel, then like he had like I don't know, he like went in a weird diet. He looked weird. But anyways, yeah.
And then our new favorite character is Ezra Moore, played by Linda Darlow, and she was in an episode. She was multiple episodes of 21 Jump Street, multiple episodes of the original MacGyver series, episodes of Who's the Boss, iZombie, and more. She has one other episode of Supernatural, but not as this character, obviously, because we're not really in 1944 very often. And was Mary Ann in the movie Buddy Games.
Yeah, what I like about her, like after we were both looking at her stuff, is just she's a classic like working actress. Like she has been like working since like the 80s, and like she has stuff coming out now. The stuff that's in pre-production, so good for her. Good on you. Yeah. So, all right. So this episode, time travel was stupid.
I mean, in my super superficial way, it was some good eye candy episode.
No, it overall. It was a very ugly. Yeah, that was a great episode for that. Visually, it was great. I like the 40s. It was just like there were some wonderful colors in it too. Like Elliot Ness had like this like gorgeous like rust colored coat on. I'm like, what the wearing like hello, but. So it was visually stunning. It was amusing. It was fine.
It's still time travel, which is annoying.
And so, we're So what aren't we dealing with? So we didn't deal with the Leviathans.
No Leviathans.
We kind of
no Lucifer.
Like Sam is fine. Apparently,
apparently
we kind of deal with Bobby a little bit, but not much.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it feels like, like as much as I love the premise and I love the Elliot Ness idea, like it's still like, hey, what is other stuff?
Like, just forget all the long backstory that's going on. That seems super important. Let's just have a fun episode.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. All right, so is that how we end this? Just like, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
All right, cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios podcast network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.